Well, Long Island, we have to talk. This election, obviously, this past election has been great news across the nation by and large. Everybody's waking up and seeing what the fraud that the current president is, the fraud that Donald Trump is, his abuse of power, his complete lack of respect for the Constitution, his hurting the middle class and the lower and the poor and the working class and people of color, all that stuff, all the horrible stuff that has gone on. Most of the country is waking up to that, and they voted overwhelmingly in favor of Democrats, particularly in New Jersey. New Jersey actually went a lot toward the blue. Even Ocean County, actually, Ocean County had a huge shift for a big Republican stronghold that had a huge shift toward the left because people are fed up with Trump. And that's why you saw all the protests going on across the country. And in New Jersey, there were lots and they were talked about, whereas here on Long Island, they weren't talked about much at all and they were much smaller. So, and we've seen in the election what's happened that Long Island is more MAGA than it's ever been. And it's absolutely disgusting. Um, Now, the election results, as you know, Mikey Sherrill won by a much bigger margin of victory versus the versus the polls, which had them very close. But Mikey Sherrill had a double-digit lead over Jack Shitterelli. Jack Shitterelli was arrogant, very much like a little baby Trump in some ways. And by and large, the voters of New Jersey had the common sense to say no and told Jack Shitterelli to hit the road. And Jack Shitterelli has hit the road. And hopefully we'll never have to see him again. All right? He's run now for three times. And he's horrible, horrible. And his ideas were horrible. The way he acted was horrible. Very arrogant. All right? Uh, so here on Long Island, however, we have our own little, what we call MAGA bootlicker, and that's Bruce Blakeman. Um, he's kissed up to MAGA the whole time, and yet he's lying about a lot of stuff. The county has a lot of corruption going on. I think Seth Koslow would have been was a great candidate to run against him, but unfortunately there was no advertising because again, all the money around here, all the money here that we have here on Long Island is supports the MAGA candidates because it's all Wall Street money. And so Bruce Blakeman won big. He had actually a much bigger lead this time than in the last election back in 2021 when Laura Curran lost. Um, and that was, I mean, I don't understand what's wrong with you people on Long Island. Bruce Blakeman, you must have believed all the lies and stuff. And it's not just Blakeman that handily won. Jen DeSena, town of North Hempstead supervisor, she won as well. And she hasn't done a great job. I mean, look at Mineola. This town is just worse than ever. I know we're a village, but still, I mean, she's up there saying, we are defending the suburban quality of life. Her and Joe Salino are up there as well as Ferretti, I think John. We're defending the suburban quality of life. But for who? Because they're certainly not here in Mineola. Um, you've seen the decay that we have here in central Nassau all over the area. All the county infrastructure is neglected. While on the South Shore, it's taken care of. All right. Look at Harbor, was that Harbor Beach State Park? Not State Park, Bar Beach, something. It's a town in North Hempstead Beach or whatever. I've heard that there's been a lot of neglect over there as well. I've never been there, but a friend told me that it's been neglected. Who's Jen DeSena looking out for? She's looking out for Wall Street people. That's who she's looking out for. They're all looking out for the same kind of people, and they're going to be taken care of. They're going to be protected, and it's going to be even worse now. All right. Um, you know, Mineola, we have hoodlums that are always roaming the streets here. Vagrants. I don't see Nassau County Police doing anything about it. And nobody wants to come here. People would rather go to Garden Cities downtown or go to Rockville Center. I could blame them. It's depressing here. Um, recently, recently, I noticed that the Lucaritos in the Morgan Park has seriously cut their hours back, and that's not a good sign at all. That's a sign that, in my opinion, that it may go under. Nothing ever survives in Mineola. Very, very, very. There's just not enough people, and people that the people don't want to be here, and I can't blame them because I don't want to be here either. This is all part of the plan. The Bruce Blakeman keeps saying we are keeping Nassau County safe, the safest county in the country. Safest county in the country, yet every freaking week I hear about another crime that happened in Mineola. This time, there was a robbery. It didn't make the news, but I heard about it on social media. Because the news ignores all this stuff that goes on here. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that the news doesn't report. Um, and you don't hear about it. You don't hear about it. And this is what's going on. But again, the news, who does the news serve in New York and on Long Island? Again, it's all geared to those kind of people, those white finance professionals. It's all about them. And I think, and they have, again, they think Trump's doing a great job. They have benefited. Wall Street is gone up. They continue to make more and more money because he's cutting taxes for the rich. He's literally taking money from the poor, like SNAP, Social Security, Medicaid, and giving it to the wealthy people, the same kind of people you see spending $100 on a dinner in a fancy restaurant, drinking their wine. You know, those kind of people. They're the ones that are benefiting, while the rest of us, well, we are suffering. And most of the country gets it. They see what's going on, except here on Long Island, because, of course, Long Island is been taken over by these MAGA snobs. I'm not saying every single MAGA person is a snob, but a lot of the ones here are. They're from Wall Street. They're arrogant. And I try to use the word snob, but I can't mince words, you know. I just can't. They are snobs because they only want to be with their own kind. They look down on anyone like me who with a disability who cannot work, and they think that I don't deserve to have anything decent or nice. Um, and honestly, I just don't feel like I belong here anymore. I feel like after this election, I feel like that's it. I think I'm going to have to say that's it. I got to leave Long Island. Um, and then we get to New York City, where we elected Zoran Mondani, who is very far to the left. I'm uncomfortable with how far to the left he is. He calls himself a democratic socialist. I have a big problem with the whole socialist thing. All right. I'm very concerned that we're going to see, he wants to close Rikers. We're going to see a lot of criminals on the streets. Basically, this whole election basically said to me, shut up and go live in New Jersey, because what's going to happen, and of course I want to be wrong, but what is going to happen now is the crime in the city is going to get a lot worse as these criminals are let out. He wants to close Rikers, but has no plan as to where to. I mean, a lot of people he's bringing into his administration were from Bill de Blasio. Remember how crime got worse from Bill de Blasio? Eric Adams did yet help a little bit. I mean, I'd rather have Eric Adams back for another 4 years than Zoran Mondani. But unfortunately, that is what the people chose. And in a way, you can blame Trump because Trump basically kind of endorsed Cuomo. And of course, anyone who Trump, because people are so, angry about Trump, including me, of course, they'll vote for anyone who obviously is the total opposite of Trump. Um, but I'm really concerned about a lot of these things. Iran wants to raise taxes, and so what's going to happen? What are the effects going to be? I'm concerned that there's going to be a mass exodus from the city, and all these all the Wall Street types that already live in the city, they're going to come out here. And if you think the housing market is bad now, oh, it's going to get so much worse now. They want to move somewhere that's commutable because they're still going to be working in their Wall Street jobs in the city and their finance jobs in the city. So they want somewhere that's commutable. And of course, all the Long Island has good train service compared to, I mean, you have Long Island and Westchester basically that have really good train service to the city. And New Jersey, not so much. New Jersey Transit has a lot of issues, and I think that's part of the reason why a lot less of those type of people live in New Jersey. Um, but I still think some are going to go to the northern part of the state. Um, but we're going to have a lot of them here, and it's going to get a whole lot worse. I mean, there's very little inventory with houses, and now it's going to get even more coveted. The good areas are going to get even more coveted. Honestly, next year, I think that the going rate for a house in Rockville Center over $1 million. I think, and it's gonna be like that in a lot of the enclaves. I think even if you want to get a house in Wantagh, you're going to be spending at least $1 million on a house, and that's going to be the going rate for a home in much of Nassau County. And the rent, forget about it. Um, my agency can only afford to spend according to the HUD market rate, 2,000 a month on a single bedroom apartment. The rent for a single bedroom apartment, even though they keep building them all over the place, it's going to go to 4,000 a month. While the city is going to actually, the rent is going to go down. Zoran will get his wish, and then this is how the whole architect of the plan works. Is Hochul also is in on this, Governor Hochul, and she obviously she decided to back Zoran Mandani. And what's going to happen is they're going to take all the people who are in programs like me and say, well, now you can't live in the suburbs anymore. The suburbs are for the rich. Now you got to go live in the city and deal with all the problems in the city. I never lived in the city my whole life. I have no desire to live in the city. As it is, it's gotten too citified here in Mineola. That's another thing that Bruce Blakeman, it's like ran on. We are preserving the suburban quality of life. Meanwhile, I have high-rise apartment buildings going up all over Mineola. So this feels like Queens because you can't even get a view of the sky here at the train station at Mineola. You get this big, huge building, power lines. It's hard to get any view of the sky here. It feels very closed in. Preserving suburban quality of life. Well, I don't know. This looks like Queens to me. And our town, I mean, there's still no one here. Who is living in these buildings anyway? I mean, they're all over the place. I mean, and I have no problem with smart growth and building apartments, but it has to fit the character of Long Island. These massive apartment buildings like the Morgan Park and another one they want to put up where the Leva building was, they're huge. They belong in Queens. They don't belong here. You want to look at proper apartments, proper style apartments that you build in certain areas. I feel that, Farmingdale, Rockville Center, um, um, Patchogue, those kind of, and even Lindenhurst to some extent, those apartments aren't too big. I think they should be no higher than like 5 stories, and that's it. All right, 5 stories, no more than 5 stories. All right, and they keep building them all over the place, and people again, they are getting filled. A lot of these new apartments, the rents are very high, and they're getting filled even as far out as Ronkonkoma. They have that whole Station Yards thing there, and it's doing well compared to Mineola. It's doing much well because again, Ronkonkoma, although it is the middle of the island, the demographics are better, meaning more white people. All right, that's basically the way it goes here on Long Island, and that's why Mineola in the middle of the island is going down the tubes because, well, there aren't enough white people here. Too many. Well, unfortunately, it's very racist here, and the white people are always remembered by the politicians, whereas the areas that are more diverse, well, they're going to be ignored and they're going to be redlined, and that's what you have going on. And what's going to happen is, I fear, is that you're going to see, well, the problems in the city get worse. They're going to do their best to protect the South Shore. I mean, it's like every once in a while it's going to spill over into the enclaves, but the problems are going to come surging into the middle of the island across the border. They're already coming into New Hyde Park and Floral Park, and they're going to come right through the middle of the island into Mineola. And Mineola is going to be like Jamaica very quickly. And Bruce Blakeman, he can run his mouth all he wants. He doesn't give a crap about us, and it's going to get a whole lot worse. I have a friend who's moved to Florida. He used to live in Westbury in the Salisbury section, and he's actually a staunch Republican. But even when he visited here last year, he was shocked at how much the central Nassau County area has declined quite a bit. And he feels the same way that I do about Bruce Blakeman. So Bruce Blakeman now wants to run for governor. You believe it? This guy is arrogant, and he only cares about the South Shore. He only cares about the chosen ones. And he got flat out lies and said, "Oh, I care about everybody" in his commercial. That is such a lie. That's such a lie. But again, most of the voters believed it because again, the people that went out to vote, and it's going to be interesting to look at the results. When I went to Mineola, there was like no one there, and I bet you hardly anyone voted in Mineola. I bet you all the votes came from those enclaves on the South Shore, and that, of course, gave Bruce Blakeman another term. Um, Probably because Mineola, unfortunately, we have a lot of illegals, and they can't vote. So that hasn't gotten any better. It's worse than ever. I mean, we have them all over. The signs of their behavior are all over the place to see. This is my neighborhood. All right, so this is the kind of stuff you see in my neighborhood. Bruce Blakeman, right? What the hell is in there? I wonder who left that behind. Yeah. So it's all part of the big plan here, the big purge, as we call it, and it's not as acute in Suffolk County, though. I think you're going to have a lot of city people moving there too. Places like Babylon and Lindenhurst are going to be very popular, and then maybe even a little further east, like West Islip, Sayville, all those areas. There's going to be such intense competition for homes. I think people are going to get into fights over it. I really do. It's going to be absolutely a disaster. Um, it's like people are just trying to get on the last lifeboat. And I'm really, really, very, very concerned about the future here. Um, I don't want to leave Long Island. There's so many things I love about it here. I mean, and if I leave and I go live in Ocean County, I can say goodbye to train service. So there's no trains there. I can say goodbye to a lot of public transportation that I rely on. I can say goodbye to a lot of the stuff that I know and I'm used to. I can say goodbye to the sea breeze because it's going to be much hotter there in summer. I can say goodbye to reliable electricity. I could say goodbye to the choices of grocery stores that I can go to. But um, as long as I'm stuck in this place, to me, it's not worth living here anymore. If living on Long Island means being stuck in this apartment or only a worse place, it's not worth it. I can't deal with the brick wall view out my window, not being able to get fresh air. You don't know when they're gonna put that laundry on, and then you're gonna breathe that horrible laundry exhaust in, because they again the building that's across from me, their laundry room vents directly into the alley. It vents directly in there. Um, Instead of outside like it used to. So the fumes just get concentrated into this small space. I mean, the alley's only, to even call it an alley, it's not because it's really closed on both ends and it's only open at the top. It's like a mini courtyard. And it's only about maybe 8, maybe 9 feet wide, maybe 10 feet wide. That doesn't allow for proper air circulation. In my apartment, all the windows face that alley. There is no window outside. So I mean, this shouldn't even be considered legal, all right? But again, it's going to get a whole lot worse now. We're trying to find another place to live, and it's just not worth it anymore for me to deal with this anymore. And I can't survive another summer here, so I have to look at my options here. And this election really has told me I'm not welcome here anymore on Long Island. I mean, look, I'm not saying everybody is snobby and bad. There are good people here. I know a few good people, but honestly, everywhere I go, I feel like if I want to be somewhere where people are happy and where it's thriving, then I've got to be around these uppity, preppy people, uh, um, in their enclaves, living it up, um, um, or I get to be in the middle of the island and be around all the problems, and there's no real in between much anymore. There are the pine barrens, but they are struggling. We see a lot of southern pine beetle outbreaks continuing. Even people have noted that out east that have noted that a lot of the pine barrens are just being cut down. I mean, we keep developing here. We're not preserving the woods here. Long Island, you see the Long Island ads. They're always talking about the beach or the East End. Um, they never talk about the hiking in the Pine Barrens. They never bring up the Pine Barrens at all. It's always forgotten. Yet when you look at New Jersey, it's completely different. The Pine Barrens, a 1.1 million acre Pineland National Reserve. It gets a lot of attention from the state, the county, um, And even when I was in Jersey last time, the radio station actually was talking about the Pine Barrens. Oh, the radio stations here never talk about the Pine Barrens. So, I mean, it's really an uphill battle. And then you try to meet other people that love the Pine Barrens like you do, and honestly, like I do. And I've tried. Uh, uh, Prior year, I tried getting involved in a hiking group, and instead of stopping and enjoying nature, when I went on their hikes, they just raced through the woods. It's like to them, it's like a workout. They're not there to see nature or take pictures or look at the flora and fauna. No, they're there to exercise, and that's it. That's to me what it felt like. All right. And my last straw was with the group was when they decided how Long Island is this, folks. In order to hike with this particular group, um, you need to pay an annual fee of $20. Okay, 20. What? Why do they need money? All right. Well, they claim they need money because they have radios, all this other stuff, whatever. And they're doing fine all these years, and they'll say they need money. But not only that, you have to sign a waiver absolving them of legal responsibility when you join them for a hike. You're just getting together with a bunch of people, and now it's like this whole like everything is geared to professionals here. I am not a professional. I'm just a regular guy. Uh, I'm not going to sign a waiver and pay $20 to join a bunch of people who want to race through the woods, and they don't even enjoy nature. All right. I'm not going to do that. And people complained. Some people, other people were a little upset about it, and of course, they're getting intimidated not to say anything. Um, I'm not bringing up the group and the name of the group, but you probably know you're going to figure out who this group is eventually. Um, but I don't think it's right, and that's why I don't fit in here anymore. I just don't fit in here anymore. I can't. And now people are just so MAGA here. It's like people are like, well, why do you hold that? So it's just a difference of political opinion. Well, because first of all, MAGA, the culture of MAGA really hates people with disabilities. They shun people who are different. They think we should be put in concentration camps. You look at what the kind of stuff RFK says. I mean, and you think these people are going to care that you want a better place to live? They don't care about that. So something happened to me that I'm going to talk about in this video that honestly happened recently, and I'm somebody who uses Snap because I get Snap because I have my mental disability, right? And then people comment on here and don't understand that either. I'll get to that in a little bit. But let me tell you what happened to me last week. So I was shopping. I was doing grocery shopping at King Cullen. Now, different days I get different things, and that day I decided I was going to get a few things from the bakery. All right. The cashier rings me up. She says, "Oh, you're using Snap. You know you're not going to be able to buy that stuff with Snap anymore." And it's none of her freaking business. I don't even know where she heard this stuff from. And then I said, "Well, wait, you hear that?" She's like, "Oh, they're doing this in states like Florida and Texas." And I'm like, "Well, that's up to the state." Um, and she said, and then she went on to ask me, "Oh, did you get your November SNAP benefits yet?" And I'm like, "No, I did not get them added to my account. Luckily, I have enough extra SNAP benefits in my account. I always have a cushion so I don't run out." But and then she said, "Oh yeah, that's that." And I just said, and then I said, "Well, this the shutdown is horrible, and it's obviously the current administration's fault." I didn't mention Trump's name at all. And then this cashier decided to say, "Oh, it's all the Democrats' fault. It's all the Democrats' fault." It's funny because it seems that the Democrats are really trying to get the House open, but Mike Johnson won't open the House. He won't open the House. This guy, he should be thrown out of office. Mike Johnson's a real piece of, I'm not going to say it, but, he's up there with Trump. He's a real bootlicker, MAGA bootlicker, sycophant, that kind of person. All right? Um, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. The cashier is basically intimidating me for using Snap to buy stuff from the bakery. There's no evidence of any what she said. She didn't like that I was buying. I mean, it's none of her freaking business what I'm buying. She should have just kept her mouth shut. But this is Long Island. This is the kind of stuff that goes on Long Island. I go into the bathroom, a lot of bathrooms here, you see vandalism against Joe Biden, against the Democrats, particularly on the South Shore. I mean, I don't see this when I'm in New Jersey. I always see the Trump flags here and all this stuff. You know, I've walked around New Jersey so much in Beechwood, Toms River, Pine Beach, Berkeley Township, and I hardly see any Trump flags. In fact, last time I was in Toms River, I saw a Trump flag that was lying on the lawn that looked like it was discarded. So people obviously had it with them over there. All right, because they're not rich in Toms River. That's a middle class area. They realize what's going on. They're getting hurt by Trump's policies. All right, but here in Long Island, we got a bunch of rich snobs that are just doing great because Wall Street's doing great. The economy is not doing great, but Wall Street is doing great. And that's what Trump wants. He only cares about the finance sector. He doesn't care about everybody else. Um, yeah, they live it up in their little bubble there in their world where they get to be safe and happy. Well, the rest of us here got to deal with all the problems. And I'm tired of it, man. There's a lot I'm going to miss about Long Island, but honestly, if I go and move to Toms River, I feel like it's going to get harder to get around. It's going to be upsetting, and I'm going to be very upset about it. But I know it's where I belong because the people there, I can relate to them. They're different. They're like regular people. They're not arrogant. They're not snobby. They're not have that freaking Wall Street attitude that I really can't stand. All right. You know, and I have nature all around me. I have the Pine Barrens, thriving Pine Barrens, beautiful places, so many new opportunities for hiking that I'm going to have. Um, it'll be, and yeah, it's a little further. You can't always get there by bus. You'll have to walk a little more, but because I'm close to there, I won't have to travel so far from Long Island, and that opens me more opportunities. And I won't have to travel so far to get to the Pine Barrens. Even here, I feel like, all right, yes, Deer Park is a half an hour train right away, but what happens when the trains are shut down, which happens all the time? They're shutting them down this weekend. If I want to go out to the Pine Barrens this weekend, there's no shuttle bus that's going to connect me up with the Ronkonkoma train service. Ronkonkoma train service is only going to run every 2 hours. I went through this in the other video. No shuttle buses between Mineola, Hicksville, and Farmingdale so we can connect up with the Ronkonkoma. Only shuttle buses to Huntington where I can connect up with the Port Jefferson branch. And the MTA doesn't getting out of their obligations. They always used to provide alternative transportation. Now they don't give a crap, but that's all part of the plan. The only people that are going to get shuttle buses are the people that are important. All right? Bethpage is not important, so they're left stranded. Bethpage is going downhill too, big time. So seeing a lot of decay over there. So it's all part of the plan. It's funny when I'm walking. I've walked a lot now from doing walks. I've walked all the way from Massapequa to the Bethpage train station. The Plain Edge is beautiful. The minute you cross over Hempstead Turnpike and start getting into Bethpage, it starts going downhill. It's so obvious which areas are the enclaves where the important people live in the areas. Well, why is Bethpage going downhill? Well, the same reason Mineola is. Not enough white people. Too many Indian people, too many Hispanic people, too many Asian people. We're not going to take care of it anymore. That's what happens here on Long Island. It doesn't happen in other areas. New Jersey is the thriving, diverse areas. But Long Island, different story. Long Island is a very racist place, perhaps one of the most racist places in the country. So it's really no surprise that they would support Trump and his MAGA bootlickers. Still, it's no surprise. And it's why I don't belong here anymore. And it's more than just, as much as it is the apartment, it's more than that. I just feel like I can't relate to people here anymore. This is not the place I grew up in. It used to be, Long Island used to be like Toms River, but with better transportation. But it used to be like Toms River. It used to be like Ocean County. But then you had all these rich Wall Street people come in and take over all the good areas. And now the good areas are now snobby, rich areas. And the other areas where they don't live, well, they're getting shit on. They're getting all the problems dumped on them. They're getting all the homeless, the vagrants, the neglect. They're getting all that stuff. All right. So it's all part of the bigger plan to drive us out. Hoko's in on it. I even think Mom Donnie's in it. I know some of you are going to say, John, you're crazy. But I think he is. Blakeman is in on it. They're all in on it. The MTA is in on it. Nice Bus is in on it. We've seen Nice Bus take away service and bus stops from the middle of the island while keeping most of the service in the South Shore, particularly that corridor, that southwestern Nassau corridor. Gee, who's from Southwest Nassau? Who are the important people? Oh, that's right. Bruce Blakeman lives there. That's right. He's from that area. So, of course, it's going to get taken care of, right? This is not a place for me anymore. A guy who I just want to live somewhere I can open my window, get fresh air, feel safe, be able to be closer to nature, and be around people I can relate to. Because I haven't met it. I feel lonely as hell here. Try meeting women here. It's impossible. Everybody is like in a clique. All the women are in a clique. Everybody knows each other, but nobody knows me, so I'm out of the loop. All right? I haven't met anyone else who can appreciate the Pine Barrens. And yeah, I generally look at women of other races because they tend to not be like that. They tend to be more sweet and more down to earth. But even that's changing here on Long Island. I find out everybody's acting this way. It's like I don't freaking belong here anymore. I mean, you're breaking my heart, Long Island. I don't know how to say it. This is home, and I know no place is perfect. I want to fall for that whole grass is greener on the other side thing. But honestly, after seeing what happened this election, it tells me Long Island has become a mean, heartless place. I'm not saying there are good people here, but by and large, it's changing to be more arrogant, more snobby, more cutthroat, because the Wolf of Wall Street mentality has now infiltrated most life on Long Island. And when I go to New Jersey, I see down to earth people I can relate to, people who appreciate the beauty of the Pine Barrens like I do, who respect the Pine Barrens, not just as a place to drive through when they're going out to the Hamptons, go to the beach, but as a place of beauty, a treasure, a place that we must enjoy. And can I say, time is running out for me here on Long Island. And the more time that goes by, I realize, I have to make a decision here. And I'm giving it to the end of the year. If I get nowhere with my apartment search by the end of this year, I'm going to just start finding apartments somewhere in New Jersey. Probably around Tom's River, right? I would rather live in Tom's River than spend my life here in this apartment, in this town, on Long Island. It's not worth it anymore. It's not good for my mental health. It's not good for my physical health. I have to get out of this situation. And a lot of other people have had to make those same choices. A lot of people I know have left. I mean, people who are, again, Trump supporter, like my friend, who I've known for many years. He left and moved to Florida a number of years ago. Actually, I have two friends who moved to Florida. They both lived in declining neighborhoods, and they got the hell out because they couldn't find anything nicer, and they just couldn't stand how expensive it is here. Because it's all part of the plan. They're all in on it. And I'm not just throwing shades at the Republicans, but the Democrats here in New York are too. They're all in on it. Hochul, Blakeman, they're all in on it. The MTA, they're all in on it. Forcing us out. There's only one exception to this. There's only one exception, one person who I feel is down to earth and cares about everybody, and that's Suffolk County Executive Ed Romney. He's the only person who I really like in Long Island politics. He's the only one who's shown he does care about the Pine Barrens. He does care about everybody. But he's working against a lot of corruption all around him. And he can only do so much. I wish there were more people like him. I really do. And then somebody says, go live in Suffolk County. Again, it's the same situation in Suffolk. It's the same sort of situation. It's not as acute in Nassau, but it's the same sort of situation. All the good places to live are places I'm not allowed to live in. I never go through, I never show you, and I try not to cry in these videos, but I cry plenty. I try not to show myself getting upset, freaking out, or having anxiety attacks, because I just don't feel comfortable sharing that side of my mental illness here. But trust me, I have them often. I have a mental disability. I cannot work. I could never handle it my whole life. I was born with this. And some people just never understand it, no matter how much I try to explain it to them. And if they want me to move on and try to improve things, I first have to get a better living situation before I can work on anything else in my life. But as long as I'm living here, I am suffering. I'm grateful it's not worse, of course, but I have to realize that I have to make a change for my health. I can't be around. This is like a toxic relationship. My relationship with Long Island has become a toxic relationship. And I have to make that decision, as heartbreaking and as upsetting it is, to say goodbye to the home I've lived in for nearly 50 years of my life, because it has gone to these snobby people, these arrogant people, these Wall Street, heartless, cutthroat people that don't give a crap about anyone but themselves, making money, spending $100, drinking a wine, and having a fun time at the restaurant, driving their stupid Tesla Cybertrucks. There's so many of them here around. I don't belong in this place anymore. And honestly, I think one day Long Island will have what's coming to it. Very much like you see in scriptures, there are places like Long Island, places full of materialism and greed. Eventually, karma gets them. And it will happen to Long Island one day. I don't want it to happen, let me make that clear, but it will happen. There is a major hurricane with our name on it that will decimate Long Island severely. And because Long Island is an island and not connected to the mainland, it's going to suffer tremendously. So, and I don't want to be here when that happens. I know when it's time to leave, I'm going to miss a lot about Long Island. I'm going to miss the Long Island Railroad. I'm going to miss the grocery options. I'm going to miss the ease of transportation and stuff. But this is a toxic relationship. And as long as I'm stuck in this apartment, in this miserable town, if that is my life on Long Island, if that is the only life I'm allowed to have on Long Island, because a bunch of entitled snobs think that I don't deserve to have just some of what they have, just to have some to live in the same town or in the same building as they do. Because they think they're better than me just because they work on Wall Street and I have a mental disability. And I don't deserve those things because of it. Well, like I said, it's not worth it to me. Staying here is not worth it anymore. But anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this video up. Very long video. Thank you if you did watch through the whole. And look, I understand why some of you, no offense to anyone who is MAGA or supports Trump or anything. It's more than just that. There's people on Long Island here are very, very arrogant. They're very snobby. It was never like this, but it has changed, and it's going to get, I fear, a lot worse now with the changes that we have politically going on, and it's going to get a lot more acute. I hope I'm wrong. I don't want to be wrong, but history has shown the direction we're heading in right now. I'm a centrist. I'm not a socialist. I'm not a reactionary. I'm a centrist. I like centrist candidates. Um, uh, but unfortunately, here in New York, it doesn't seem like we have any of that. We keep saying no to that. We had people like Tom Suozzi, would have been a great governor, but people said no. That's really unfortunate. In the city, people instead of picking Cuomo, the centrist candidate, they went with somebody very far to the left, and I have big concerns about that. I've said that already. And on the right, get Curtis Sliwa, who was arrogant too. They were all arrogant, really. Why does everybody have to be arrogant here? That's why Tom Suozzi, he's not arrogant. But we can't have Tom Suozzi as our governor. It's a real shame. I wish we would. And I wish we would have had Seth Koslow as our county executive, but that didn't happen either. Oh well. I guess just need to right now to just focus on enjoying whatever time I have left on Long Island, going to all the places I want to go to, and while I still can, because I think my time here is running out. Anyway, thank you for watching. Take care.